There's no red in this projector, just a little FYI, so the pictures are going to look a little funky, because my logo is orange. But, and I look a little more colorful than that in real life, plus it's stretched, I'm skinnier. But I have been a professional photographer full-time in this area since 1998, which I can say to this crowd, except for you guys, you probably think that's like 1,000 years ago, right? And by the way, I homeschooled my son, all the way. But I started teaching in 2009, and I'm the cover photographer for Neapolitan Family Magazine. I have been for like, I don't know, 15 years or something. And I was kind of complaining because my business wasn't going that well, and the lady who owned it said, you should start teaching. And I thought, well, I'm really not that smart. I'm not technical. It took me forever to learn photography. And it turned out that it made me a better teacher. Our motto at Understand Photography is we simplify the technical. So the training center has done well. We started in 2009 teaching. There are 3 of us teaching now. I'm speaking a lot. This is my first, I don't know about world renowned, but this is my first summer where I'm nationally speaking at some of the conventions in the north. So if anybody lives up north, please come and support me, because I'm a little nervous, especially about this one. It's the biggest camera club conference in the United States. It's the New England Camera Club Conference. But first, the day before, I'm speaking at the Cape Cod Arts Center. But this is right here. The Florida Camera Club Council is having a big convention March 9th through 11th, and it's right at Florida Gulf Coast University. We've got, I'm a speaker, I'm not part of the actual group, but I mean, I'm a member, I guess, right? Anyway, but there are 2 keynote speakers. One of them is a Canon Explorer of Light, and it's going to be an amazing conference. They do a really, really nice job. Those are my 2 talks, and Cape Cod, New England, and then Southwest Michigan, I'm speaking in July. And I am from Michigan, so I can speak with the proper accent and everything. I put a little sign up for, this is what we call our signature class, the 4 weeks to proficiency in photography. If anyone's interested and you have a DSLR or similar, a camera that can shoot in the manual mode, this is a really, really good class. It just gives you a good foundation in photography. In just 4 weeks, you're going to learn how to shoot in manual in the very first class. And then it goes through a whole bunch of other stuff. And by the end of the 4 weeks, you have a good, solid understanding of photography. And then it's more empowering when you know what you're doing. You know, sometimes you take a picture, you don't know why you can't get the effect you want. Well, you're going to learn all that stuff in this class. We also have some online class. Actually, the 4 weeks to proficiency is both here in Naples and an online class. It's different than these, though, because it's a live class. I actually am there with the students while they're taking the class, so they can ask immediate questions. Like, I can't find this button, I can answer where it is or whatever. These online classes are more typical of an online class, but what we did different on our software classes is we have, each video is only like 2 to 5 minutes long. So you learn a little bit, you do a little bit. You pause, you rewind, you learn a little bit, you do a little bit. And then if you want to go back and you can't remember where you started, because you know, most people don't take the class all at once. So you can do a little at a time, or if you just took the whole class and then you can't remember how to import something in Lightroom, you can just go to that little video. You don't have to go through the whole class and try to find it again. So these are our software classes online. We've got day trips from Naples. One of them's tomorrow. We've got one opening if anybody, I bought a minivan. So we limit our people, 5 people or 5 participants and the instructor, so that everybody can sit comfortably. So tomorrow is the Nyack National Cemetery in Ringling, so that's our Sarasota trip. February 21st, we're going to go over to Wakota-Hatchie, mostly for bird photography. So if you're interested in learning bird photography, it's a full day of it. And by the way, I don't know if you guys are all swamp people like we kind of are. The Everglades is so flooded right now since the hurricane that we had to change this because there are no birds in the Everglades. They're all farther north because it's drier. And then March 20th, we do Burrowing Owls in Matlacha. Has anybody been to Matlacha? Isn't it cool? It's a very artistic little town. It's really fun. We do the Old Naples Photo Tour. It's a 3-hour tour every Monday afternoon through sunset. So that's really fun. And then we offer a free photo walk once a month. You just have to go on our website, which is understandphotography.com. By the way, I am a little sensitive because it is understand photography like a command. There's no ing. A lot of people say, can't find your website because they're typing understanding photography, and that's some guy in Italy. That's not me. And I can't get it. He wants $30,000 for it, so I don't have $30,000 spare dollars. I'm just going to give you a brief overview about the 4 editing things, then I'm going to just sit down and start doing some stuff in Elements. Adobe has 4 photo editing software programs. Photoshop CC. I mean, this is our traditional Photoshop that, you know, I started learning in 1990 something. I don't even remember what. Now it's CC for Creative Cloud. So now you have to rent it. You cannot buy it anymore, okay? You have to rent it. It's pretty cheap though. It's $10 a month and it includes Lightroom. So a lot of people who were using Elements, which I'm going to show you today, have moved over to Photoshop. Honest to God, I don't think you need Photoshop. Photoshop is harder to learn than Elements, and Elements does pretty much anything a photographer needs to do. Now, if you're a graphic artist, you need Photoshop. But if you're a photographer, Photoshop Elements is plenty. But if you want to use, you know, Lightroom, it comes with it. So professional level editing capabilities, it is a little hard to learn. It's got a steep learning curve, and it's only available by subscription. Lightroom, now they came out with a new Lightroom, so now we have Lightroom Classic Creative Cloud. Lightroom is kind of the big thing right now because Lightroom does a lot. So a lot of nature photographers only use Lightroom. Now, I'm still a portrait photographer. I need Photoshop or I need Elements to do the detailed editing, the opening of the eyes, and getting rid of the zits and stuff like that. But Lightroom, if you're not doing portraits, if you're just, not just, but if you're a nature photographer, you probably only need Lightroom. It's got a really powerful library, the organizer in Lightroom, and it's really, really hard to learn in my opinion. People love it, they say it's easy. I think that's because they don't have the volume of photos that I do, because it's really easy to lose all your photos all the time. I mean, they're not lost, they'll turn up, but where they are in Lightroom, only God knows. Well, actually, Joe Fitzpatrick, who works with me, he knows. He's like our Lightroom guru of this area. He's so smart. He says it's less complex than Photoshop. I find it harder. He wrote this part. The organizing tools are very, very powerful, though. You can, you know, look up anything any picture you took from 20 years ago. If you put it in the Lightroom catalog, it's going to be pretty easy to find. Local storage base, so you're storing it on your computer or on hard drives. Again, this is available only by subscription, but it includes Photoshop for $10 a month, so it's really a good deal. This is the newest Lightroom, Creative Cloud, which is really confusing because Lightroom, now the Lightroom we're used to is called Lightroom Classic. It's kind of like a junior Lightroom, so it's a little less complex. Automatic organizing tools, cloud-based photo storage. So they made this, they were calling it Lightroom Mobile, and then they made some improvements and now call it Creative Cloud. Okay, and then we're going to talk about Elements. Okay, Elements is kind of like Photoshop Junior. However, let me just read the thing. I'm about to start talking and then it'll already be up here. Photo editor and organizer designed to meet the needs of hobbyists, simple yet to use yet powerful, intelligent organizer, local storage base. And that just means you're storing on your own computer. Available as a retail product or by download. And I'm going to be honest, in case I struggle a little, I just downloaded 2018, like a couple of days ago. I know the older versions pretty well, but they did add a couple features to 2018, so hopefully, and they changed some things around. So There are two things to learn within Elements, the organizer and the editor. And up until version, I think, 14, I used to tell people, don't even use the organizer because it's so confusing. But then they made it easier. So now it's not so bad. The editor is amazing. It is the easiest software to learn. And it does everything you need to do. So Elements can automatically sort. This is kind of cool because it automatically will, if you took a picture with your iPhone or if you have your GPS settings on your regular camera, it'll automatically tag the places. It automatically, if you just want to search for people, it will pull up all the people or the dates. Smart tags also, this is new, and this is so cool because you can do a search for sunsets. I mean, look where we live, of course you're going to have sunsets, right? So you don't even have to tag anything. It's going to automatically find the sunsets, the cats, the dogs, stuff like that. It also will auto-curate, and basically what that means is you're going to put in, let's say you put in 100 pictures because you work this, like I do a lot of event photography, so I took 100 pictures at this event. It's going to automatically show me the best ones by clarity, lighting, and things like that. It's pretty cool. Time's up. The editor, the power of Photoshop in an easy-to-use form, works with common file formats, offers 3 modes of use: quick, guided, and expert. Quick has presets that allow you to quickly adjust your photo. Guided kind of shows you. It's still pretty quick. It kind of shows you what's happening as you're doing it. And then expert is more like Photoshop, but it's still easier. I don't know why Photoshop doesn't copy off of Elements, because Elements, it's like when you choose something, it's kind of in your face. With Photoshop, you have to know where it is. You have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know where it is. Where Elements is a lot easier. Okay, so now I'm switching over to the computer. And I didn't have enough USB ports, so it's going to take me a minute, because I have to switch to the mouse. All right, let's see. Let's see how we're doing here. I just realized I've never done a presentation and showing like this facing the crowd. It's a little nerve-wracking. All right, so we're going to start in. I left it open just because it takes a long time to open. But when it opens, it's going to ask you if you want the organizer or the editor. So I usually start in the organizer. I only have one picture. I cleaned this out so that I could start fresh. But is everything up there? No. All right, what am I doing wrong? How do I get the PowerPoint down and the elements up? I don't want to shut it down because I want to go back to it.
She's working on a PC.
I know, I said, should I cover this up?
Can you just minimize the screen?
Don, can you help her?
Just minimize the screen.
Yeah, that's not working. I hate to shut it down because
Does somebody want to come up that might understand PC?
No.
No, nobody will do it.
Mine doesn't work.
I guess I'll just shut it down.
There you go.
Did I make it? All right, I'm there. Okay. Okay. So, anyway, so it's gonna come up. I'm gonna start in the organizer. It is gonna come up and ask you, do you want the organizer or the editor? So start in the organizer. This picture, unfortunately, there's no red in this projector, but this girl has some serious red eye. So I wanted to show, I left her in here because I wanted to show you one of the cool, this is one of the new things in 2018. See the button up here that says import? So you can choose where to import. I'm just going to do them from the USB disk, so you can search, just like anywhere how you search. But this is the picture of the girl. I know you can't see her red eye, so So make sure you're seeing the same thing as I am. But you see this right here? Automatically fix red eyes. Isn't that's so cool to me. Oh, I already put it, it's telling me it's already in there because I already put it in there. But it automatically fixes, you know, let's say you do an event or something and you got 25 people with red eye, it's going to automatically, no, it's not perfect, so you got to go back and check. But it's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool option. So right when you're putting it in the computer, it's going to take out the red eye. All right.
You mean without having to click on the eyes, you mean they just changed?
Yep.
That's neat.
I know. I was like, that is so cool. I'm gonna
So
go-
it did it with a crowd of people?
Yeah, if you have like, you know, like if, let's say you have 100 pictures and 25 of them have red eye, it's going to figure out. I don't know how it figures out, but it does. Because I thought maybe it would take, because I tested it because the big wine festival thing was this weekend, so I worked one of the vendor dinners and everybody had red on. So I thought, well, is it going to take the red out of their dresses? Because there were only 2 with red eye in there. And sure enough, it found the 2 with the red eye. I didn't put them all in. I put about 50 of them in. But it didn't turn I thought all the ladies' dresses would turn, black or something. But no, it figured out the eyes. It was really cool. So what I'm doing now is I'm just loading in the pictures that I have on this USB. But you could take them from your camera, from your SD card, from another place on your computer. Okay, so the new photos have word tags attached to them. So I think that's because they were already in my Lightroom catalog. I've never seen that before. Okay, so now I've got some pictures up, right? So now I gotta read my little cheater here so I know what I'm doing here. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Because it didn't come up as an option. Oh no, okay, that's cool. Okay, so I've got some pictures in here. This is the organizer. One of the things they did change that I don't like is it used to say organizer real big on the top so you knew you were in there. But down here, way at the bottom, can you see that where I'm circling? It's hard because I can't see what you're seeing. But the editor is down there. So if it says organizer down there, you're in the editor. If it says editor down there, you're in the organizer. So these are all the pictures I have in the organizer. Of course, you're going to have millions. And it's going to put your folders over here so that you can, import from other places, see what else you've got in here. I'm getting a new roof today, by the way. Big news. Automatically it's going to pick out people and places, okay? And if you had something like from your iPhone or something, it's going to automatically tag the location. But you can do that too. See down here on the bottom right, it says keyword info. So you click on that and you get this panel, all right? Now one of the things I don't like about this, you have to remember, you have to add the keyword first and then put it in. So here are some of my keywords that I have in here. I don't have a lot in here because I just downloaded the new version of this. But if I want to say leopard, I don't see that as an option. So let's say I start typing in leopard. How do you spell leopard? Oh, it is in there.
Leopard.
I have to add it, and then it comes up here. Then I can tag it, which is a little bit of an extra step, in my opinion. But if I had a bunch of leopards, I could tag them all at once then. Does anyone use Lightroom here? No? Okay, well Lightroom is a little bit better because you can tag all of them before you import them. So it's kind of nice because if I went and took 100 pictures of leopards, I could say leopards, and they'd all be tagged and I wouldn't have to go through this extra step. So it is an extra step, but it's still really nice if you want to organize your pictures, you know? What else do I want to talk about? I got to write Okay. So add keyword over here. People tag. I put demon child for this one, but she doesn't look like a demon child to you guys because you can't see her red eyes. But you could. It will start recognizing faces. if you have like a picture of your son constantly, it starts recognizing faces and you can name it and it will find pictures of your son all the time. Places, events, you can add events. If we click on places, oh wait, I gotta click on a picture first. I was like, wait, that's not right. Okay, click on places, and then the plus sign. No, it still came up. Where's Florida? Is that Florida over there?
Oh, no, that's your.
Where am I? Oh, I'm over here. It's funny, because this is a new option too, and I swear to God, I practiced and practiced and practiced, and now it's not in here. All right, so type in Naples, Florida, and sure. But now what? That's not what happened last time I did it. All right, so then I take that with that. Okay, so events, I don't see the point of events because you can add events, but I am more of a proponent of folders because you could say, like, these were 2 pictures from the Vintner Dinner. I could have an event called Vintner Dinner, but to me it's a more organized fashion just to keep your folders. Okay. The organizer still has some work to do, but the other thing that they did in here is they added a little bit of editing, okay, which they never had before. So you could take one of these pictures, like this sunflower picture. Hold on, I gotta get out of events. And I gotta get out of keywords. And down here, you see how it's got these extra options? You have instant fix. It's going to be hard to see on a projector, I think, but what it's going to do on this one, because I've tried it on this one already, is it's just going to kind of sharpen it and give it a little more contrast. Someday. Should have bought a Mac. So it's got this, I don't know if you can see down here at the bottom, you can flip it to before. You probably can't even see the difference on that screen, can you? It just kind of sharpened it, basically. And then you can reset it if you don't like it. And then done.
Can you do something dramatic to it so they can see the difference?
I don't know if I can here. Let me see. Let me get another one. Let me try another one. Let me get out of here. Done. I say I'm done.
Peggy, you don't work on a Mac, you primarily work on a PC.
I am a PC person, sorry.
But your people that you know that are on a Mac, why do they use Elements versus Lightroom? Any idea?
You know, I don't know, it's been a long time since I worked on a Mac, but Photos doesn't have that many options as far as editing your photos and organizing them, right? Especially the organizing. I mean, that's the main thing we hear from Macs is it's like the Lightroom people is they can't find their photos. So if you don't know the name of your photo, if your name of your photo is IMG6789, you're not going to remember how to look it up. So, I mean, the Finder will only find it if you know what you're looking for. So the organizer in here, well, of course they changed it just to embarrass me because I'm like, why can't I get out of this now? I don't want to open anything else. I want to go back to the grid.
But why would that same not be true on your thing? You named yours. If you don't name them on any application, they're hard to find.
That's true, except for it does do some smart tagging, like the places and that kind of stuff too. But yeah, that's true. But if I could get out of this, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't seem to get out of this. I'm just going to close it. I'm going to get back to, what's going on here? Maybe let me just wait for it. Maybe if you keep clicking, it makes it worse, right? I worked on a help desk like 30 years ago, and you'd be like, Stop clicking. I'm not clicking and you can hear it, you know? Oh my God. No, tell me this isn't happening. No, no, no. That's why I was hung up. It was updating. I just downloaded the dang thing 2 days ago. All right, let me get back to where I was. Now I gotta open the organizer. That's why I had it open, because it takes so long. But I shut it down because I couldn't get it to work. I didn't realize it was trying to update. No, no, no. All right, so let's get back to where we were. Okay. Okay, so you load the pictures in from the import, and you can choose them for wherever you want to put them. You can bring them in. Okay. This has the slight editing things that you can do. You can make a slideshow. You can do the instant fix. Let's see if an instant fix will look better on, well, like this one is too dark. Maybe it'll fix this one. Crossing fingers. I don't know. I didn't test on this one. I did on the sunflowers because it looked so different on this computer, but I realized on that projector it's probably not going to look that good. Yeah. Well, that didn't make a whole heck of a lot of difference in my mind. You know what it did? It sharpened it. So it made a big difference on the... Oh, this is where I got stuck last time, though. I shouldn't have gone back in here. I have to admit, I was doing all this on my regular computer, not my laptop, and it was working fine, but on the laptop it seems to be really slow. I'm not sure why. I seem to get stuck in here every time. All right, well, I'm not going there again. The instant fix and me, we're not friends. Did I click on this? All right, so you can make a little slideshow in the organizer where you just choose some of the pictures, or they can choose the pictures for you. You can do that instant fix, which I think just, it looks like it just sharpens, because I thought it would fix the color, because this picture is too yellow, too dark. And then over here, if you want, if you are just this perfect photographer and you write out of the camera, you can share, you can print from here, you can make a photo book. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. This stuff, the instant movie and the video stuff, you have to have something called Adobe Premiere Elements, which is their video editing. It's their junior editing software. Now, when I bought this latest version, I bought it just a couple of days ago, and it came with Adobe Premiere Elements. So I could do that, but it'll take too long. But it has all these options. And then the sharing, right from here, you could share to Facebook, you can send an email, just like all the stuff that you can do. You can burn a video DVD if you're doing a little movie or something. Okay? So here is, remember I said it would kind of people, places, events. It's going to kind of, I guess it figured out on its own maybe that this is Christmas. It's kind of interesting. I sold most of my Christmas stuff this year. And this eLive, I'm not going to go there because that is really slow, I learned. But that's basically a place where Adobe has a bunch of training videos. So you can go and watch training videos there. I think it's a weird place to put it there, but whatever. The most important thing you need to remember here is the import. You can import it right from your card reader if you want to put your little SD card into your computer, or from anywhere on your computer. So here, you can go to the editor, okay? So let me get back to the pictures that I want to work on, and select the drive-in and go to the editor. So I select this, and then down here it says editor. Okay, so here we have quick, guided, and expert. Now the expert is the one that's more like regular Photoshop. It's just that they made this stuff easier, I guess, and I'm not sure what the rationale is, but I guess Photoshop users want more real estate or something, because this definitely, Photoshop Elements definitely takes up more space because you've got all this down here, and you could have a palette here, so your picture is smaller on the screen. but it's so much easier to learn because you can find the stuff you're looking for. In Photoshop, you just kind of have to know where it is, and you have to wear your glasses because everything's really tiny. Anyway, we're going to go, first I'm just going to go on Quick. Quick is the one that has all the presets. So if you don't really want to learn too much, this thing does a lot of things for you. Smart Fix, we already tried that. We know that it just sharpened it. But you can play around with the exposure and just turn it brighter or darker. You can go down here into lighting. And in this case, I want to see how dark it is through here. I want to bring the shadows up. So see how it's not overexposing my sky too much, but it's lightening up, it's bringing the shadows out, okay? You can change the color balance, you can sharpen it. Let me try the Smart Fix again. Auto. Yeah, see now that looks nice.
As a professional photographer, do you use elements in some of these areas?
You know what, when I started teaching in 2009, I decided I needed to learn elements because most of my students are hobbyists. They're not professionals. And at that time, Photoshop was $700 or $800, so it was crazy to buy it. This has never changed. The price is $80 to $100. It always has been. So I forced myself I went 3 months only elements, 3 months only Photoshop, 3 months only, and I did that for about 3 years. Because you can do everything in elements that you can do in Photoshop, or I can, that I use, except for 2 things. But you can work around those, you know what I mean? There are 2 tools that I really like in Photoshop that Elements doesn't have. But other than that, any professional could use Elements. It's enough. It's way more than Photoshop used to be when we all started, you know? But this has got some cool things, and because I was refreshing, I was like, oh, I'm going to start using Elements a little bit more because some things it just does for you that they're complicated to do in Photoshop. So, I mean, this is easy, bringing out the shadows and things like that. But bringing out the shadows, anytime you have an exposure like this where you have something bright and something dark in the same picture, if you bring out the shadows, you can kind of even the lighting out. You have all of these tools too, and all of these tools, so I'm going to go through just some of them. Let's see, Drive-ins, Naples Pier. All right, I'm not going to save this. See the little X right here? It's kind of small. You can X, or you can go to File, Close, or you can save as if you want to save it somewhere. I'm just going to close it, and I'm not going to save it. I'm going to go back down here to the organizer. You see where it says organizer down here? And I'm going to grab the Naples Pier. See that? Okay. So you click on it. Unfortunately, double-clicking on it doesn't open it into the editor. You have to click on editor. But this has a cool tool in here. Photoshop has it, but it's harder to find and a little more complicated in Photoshop. But see over here on the left, it's got a little level. And if you hover over it, it says straighten tool. All you have to do is you just start at one side of the horizon and go to the other one with your mouse down and then let go, and then it's automatically going to straighten your horizon. Because you've got to have straight horizons, right? That's one of the things, you know, I do a lot of judging in photography, and I'm like amazed how many people put in pictures for competition with crooked horizons. And they're not crooked on purpose. You know, you can tell if it's on purpose or not. They're just little things. So that just fixed it, just like that. So easy. And then you've got all these options that we talked about that we can fool around with this picture, but I'm going to keep moving because there's some other cool things I want to show you. I'm going to go back to the organizer. I'm going to find the downtown Fort Myers, which I don't see. Oh, there it is. And go to the editor. Now you can do this in Photoshop or Lightroom or anything, but it's easier here. Okay, so.
Can you select more than one photo at a time?
Yes, and I'm going to do that. But right now I'm just going to show you some of the, this is in the Quick where they do a lot of the stuff for you. But I want to show you, you've got these options up here as well. So you've got options here, options here, options here, and options down here. Okay? So you've got stuff to look at. I can't show you how to use this in an hour. I can just show you some of the highlights because there's a lot to it. but you can learn enough to be dangerous. So in here, if you go to correct camera distortion, all right, this is converging because the only way to have straight lines is to be in the middle. So if this is Joe's picture, if he would have just carried around an 18-foot ladder with him, he could have had this straight in the first place, right? But he didn't. So he's got these converging lines. If you know you're taking a picture with converging lines, make sure you have space, like on the outside, because here's what's going to happen. So you can fool around with these different things, but I know that this is vertical. So I'm just going to kind of straighten it out. Isn't that cool? How easy is that? You can't believe it the way you have to do it in Photoshop. It's much harder. So, but did you see what I said? It cut off the sides a lot. So
what should you do when you take a picture? Is leave room?
Leave room, yeah, because look at all the room he left. See it? I cut off. When I'm doing this, I'm cutting off the sides of the picture. I mean, technically, you should take it from the middle. That's what, if you're taking pictures of people, if you're doing a full-size picture of a person, the camera should be at their waist level for perspective, straight, okay? And then you can click OK or cancel or whatever. Down here, they have all these other things. Right now, we're in this adjustment panel. That's what this stuff is. But here, you can, it's just like the apps on your iPhone. You can look at a pencil sketch. Of course, it's taking forever. You know, you can make it into black and white, all kinds of effects like that. You can add textures to it. I'm not going to do all this stuff. Or you can add frames to it. So there's options. So see these four down here? They change your options over here. Does that make sense? So the adjustment panel is where the lighting and all this stuff, because that's the main thing you're probably going to do. Okay. You can also do selections, red eye, whiten teeth. So you just brush this over the teeth. It's kind of cool. Straighten tool I showed you. You can type something. You know, you could put downtown Fort Myers. Spot healing brush tool is what you use to get rid of blemishes or something, small things. I can't find anything to look at. You can crop, and then that's the move tool. Okay. But I'm not going to show you all those things because it would just take me forever. All right, close, and I am not going to save this. If you do save it, it saves the edited one back into the organizer as well. And it says, it just automatically puts edit after it, so you know that that one's edited. But if you put file save as, you can change the name if you want to. Okay, so quick. All right, so guided. All right, let's go right here to guided. Now see how guided, I'm not even sure why they call it guided, because they do all this stuff for you again. I mean, you can do a little bit for it, but what I'm going to do, here you have, okay, so first we have guided, but then we have all these other menus under here. So these are all options. Look how cool this stuff is. Isn't that cool? They got a lot of cool stuff in here. What am I looking for? I'm looking for replace background, which is right here. Okay, so this stuff looks more magical than it is because it's really hard to get things perfect, but okay, so I'm going first, I guess I needed to open a picture. I'm going to open the leopard, put it in the editor, and then I'm going to replace the background. Okay, so here it guides me through what to do. I still have to do the work, but it's telling me what to do. So I'm going to try this auto. And what you do on auto is you just like select the leopard, like a big square, and then it's going to look for contrast. And I don't know, can you see the little marching ants around the leopard? Yeah, you can see them. Okay, it's pretty good, but it's not perfect. So I'm going to use the brush. And it tells you what to do. And down here on elements, anytime you choose a tool, the options for the tool are on the bottom. So I'm going to add to this selection, and I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, and then I want to just kind of, I want to get the whole paw in there, because it didn't quite get the whole, I need that tooth, right? The teeth. Teeth are very important on this leopard. We always get these cool pictures when we go to the zoo, but they're always yawning. They're not, it's not like fierce, they're just yawning, you know? And then over here, down at the bottom left, I'm going to click here, and you see how it says subtract now? So now I'm going to subtract some of the selection.
Can you get rid of the fence?
Well, just watch me. So now I'm going to refine the edge, and it's just going to smooth it out a little bit, basically. Okay? All right, so I've made my selection. That's the first step. Number 2, choose a new background, import a photo. Why it doesn't go into the right into the organizer, I don't know, because that doesn't make any sense to me, but it just goes here. So I got to find a USB, and I need pictures. I need pictures. What do you want? You think sunflowers or? I think I'm going to put them in sunflowers. All right, so opening up that picture. Isn't that cool? Then, down the next step 3 is the move tool, so I can move him around. I guess I'll put him down here. Even though he's got a horizon going through his head, that's bad composition. And then this refined edge brush just sort of softens, but what it does is it brings it back, you see? So I don't want to do that, I want to subtract. So you can kind of perfect it from here. Because this, if you look at this closely, it doesn't look as impressive. But I thought, holy cow, I'm using elements to do this from now on, because the way you do it in Photoshop is a lot harder than that. I thought that was really, really cool. And optional, use auto match color tone to blend the subject with the background. Ooh, I didn't try that. Should we try it? See what happens. Hope it doesn't hang the computer up like that Quick Fix did. Playing auto match color tone.
As a professional photographer, do you use any things like this?
Oh, we replace skies constantly.
Skies?
Constantly. But we clip people out, you know, and I know how to do all this stuff, but now, honestly, because the world is changing in the photography world. So now you can send, like, say I wanted the leopard clipped out, cut out, I can send it to Peru, this company in Peru, and get it back in about 2 hours, and it cost me $1.50. So, I don't
How long would it have taken you?
probably about 15, 20 minutes. So, they're not always perfect, but it's great. I mean, you can't, you know, just standard retouching. I send my pictures, it's $2.50 a picture. I'm sitting here talking with one of my customers right in front of me. Now she's going to go, what do you mean you want all that extra money for retouching? But it's $2.50 a picture. They don't do a perfect job, but I'd say they save me about 10 minutes a picture. So then I go and make my extra edits in there. So it's a lot of the stuff I'm farming out now that I used to do. But for my real stuff, that's my joy, my hobbyist photography, I do all my own editing because I'm creating art. For me as a professional, I'm working. You know, my event photography, it's nice, it's a good job, it's a happy job, you're always around nice people and things like that. It's a good living. It's not like being in a horrible profession where everybody's mean to you, everybody's nice to you, but it's not as exciting to me as the nature photography and walking in the swamp and that kind of stuff. Okay, so I don't think it made much difference on that auto match color tone, but it is kind of both has a lot of warm tones in here. here, down here, if you click next, it'll ask you what you want to do. Do you want to save it? Do you want to continue editing? You can go to quick and try some of those instant things, or you can go into expert. For me, I'm just going to click done because I got other things to show you. Okay, one thing. Okay, so this is in guided. So now I'm looking for Photomerge. That's over here. Okay, so you have guided, and remember you've got another full set of menus down here. All right, so I mean panos, I do panoramas all the time. I do them with my iPhone all the time. The first time I went to Paris, well, I've only been there once. The only time I went to Paris, I went with another photographer, and she said, make sure you bring a wide lens. Well, I did not bring a wide enough lens. So I would say, like, probably almost half of my pictures that were taken actually in the city were panos, because I went click, 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 because I couldn't fit everything into my frame that I wanted to take. So just keep that in mind if you're ever too close to something or your lens isn't wide enough. If you take 3 pictures, you can stitch them together, and oh my God, it is so easy in this software.
You don't use a panorama setting, or where you just,
Well,
like
I
on
know
your
the
iPhone?
Sonys do that. My cameras don't do that. I know the newer Sonys do that. Although somebody told me
and the
that-
iPhone, yes.
Well, I do it on my iPhone all the time. But the iPhone still isn't at the quality that, you know, a regular camera is, so.
So you're doing panorama where and you stitch them together.
I do that a lot, so I'm going to show you. Okay, so first you got to go to the organizer and get the pictures. So why does that one look fatter than the other ones? Well, we'll find out. You hit the, to select more than one, you hold down your command button, select the pictures you want like that, and then click on editor, and they're going to open in the editor. Hopefully. Oh, well, you know what? These were all raw files, so now I'm going to show you a little bit about Adobe Camera Raw. Does anybody shoot in RAW with their camera? See? A couple people, yeah. Okay, so if you shoot in RAW, when you're in Elements, Adobe Camera Raw will automatically come up like this. If you're shooting in JPEG, which is what most of us shoot in with just regular hobbyists, this window won't come up. So this is just an extra step. So this was my pano here. Is that a pano? 1, 2. And that one's kind of dark, so I think I'm just you can just do a little editing right in the software. Isn't that the guy who told us how to turn off our phones? That's too funny. All right, so then I just hold the shift key to select all. I'm going to open the images, and then they're going to go into the editor. So that was an extra step. If you shoot in RAW, that's going to come up. And you can do some editing in Adobe Camera Raw as well.
Peggy, there's a question over on your...
What's the basic difference between RAW and
Okay, RAW, God bless you. RAW is, if you have a 20 megapixel camera and you're shooting in RAW, you're going to get 20 megapixel pictures. The problem with RAW is you have to process them. But you're starting with a file this big. So if you're doing any editing, you're losing quality as you edit, but it's okay because you've got so many pixels. The other thing that's nice about RAW is because you have so many pixels, if you have like a pink shirt, or let's say you have a white shirt, because it's so easy to overexpose white when you're taking a picture. But in a RAW file, you'll have like 100 shades of white, so if it looks a little bit overexposed, you can kind of fix it because there's enough different tones of white in there. So that's a RAW. A JPEG is a standard format for printing, for putting on Facebook, all that other stuff. So even if you have a high quality, if you've got that 20 megapixel camera, the same camera, and if you shoot in the highest quality JPEG, it's going to only be about maybe a fifth of the size of the raw file. So it's a compressed file, and it takes out information that your eye can't see. So let's take, for instance, those whites. Instead of 100 shades of white, you're going to have 6 shades of white. So if you overexposed it, pretty much you're doomed. You overexposed it. Okay? So you have more editing capabilities in RAW. You have higher quality pictures. JPEGs deteriorate over time. RAW files don't. But RAW files, you have to process them. You have to bring them into Photoshop or into, I don't know, does iPhotos, Bob, does iPhoto process a RAW file?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but you have to process it. You can't just flip it. You know, you can't just take it to Costco and get it printed. So,
Do you take all your pictures, your professional pictures in RAW?
yes, except, okay, so we had 2 of those vintner dinners on Friday. One of my associate photographers was doing the other one. So they always want to take the picture, you know, you usually have the little photo area, you take pictures of the couples as they come in and they print them up and put them in pretty frames. So remember, you have to process RAW files. So most of the cameras will shoot in both RAW and JPEG. So, you know, it's my company, so Brian's going to do, and you know, it's like, I don't know how much it costs, $20,000 or something to go to one of those dinners. It's really expensive, so you can't make any mistakes, right? So Brian, I said, be sure to shoot in RAW and JPEG, RAW and JPEG, RAW and JPEG. And then I sent him a note, don't forget JPEG. And then I sent him a text, don't forget JPEG. Because if you didn't shoot in JPEG, you wouldn't be able to print them off that night. Because we go right from, there's no editing, you take that card, you put it right in the printer and print it off. So, because we don't usually set our cameras to shoot in JPEG. But if you're using any software like this to organize your photos, it's so easy to process.
So do you do anything with the RAW picture of the couple?
Well, when we bring it home that night or whatever, if it needs any tweaking, we tweak it then, you know. But it's too late, they already have the picture. So better make sure the color, because the hardest thing is the color. Like he was luckier than I was, because where he was, they were right on the beach, and he was shooting against sunset. He's got these amazing pictures. For me, I was in the dark. I was in the pitch dark with one little light overhead. What's the worst lighting on people? Overhead light. And it was a yellow light, so I had to do all this stuff to my camera to make sure that I balanced the color, balanced the light, you know, everything like that. But that's why they hire us, because we know how to do it. Okay, back to work. All right, so Photomerge Panorama. Okay, so see this down here? This is the photo bin. I don't know why it disappeared. I like it. I like to see it. So I'm going to, okay, over here, remember this is guided, so it's going to tell me what to do. So to create a panorama, select the photos you want to combine into a panorama. So I'm going to select these with, you hold down the command button and select the 5 pictures that I want to merge. Okay, auto-select the panorama layout based on I always click all of these things, especially this last one, content-aware fill transparent areas, because otherwise there's like white spaces on the edges, so it automatically figures out what needs to go there, and like 99% of the time it comes out really good. And then down here it says create panorama. It does take a few minutes because it's like looking to match up the sides. So anytime you're taking a panorama picture, remember to make sure there's overlap between each picture because it lines them up.
So what are the rules to follow when you take the panoramic that you're going to stitch? Make sure there's overlapping areas.
Make sure you're staying in one place. So you're standing there like this. Okay? So you're standing in one place and you're doing this. Click, but overlap, click, overlap. Make sure that you're overlapping, you know, and it helps if you have something like a landmarky kind of thing. like something stack or, I don't know, something sharp. So you don't move, and you can do as many as you want, although it's pretty funny to do that. But like in Paris, I was just doing it just so I could get a regular picture. But here, and this isn't a long skinny picture. This was Amalfi Coast. I went to Italy this year. I swapped houses with the family. That was so cool. A lot of school people do that, by the way. It's coming.
What make cameras do you use?
I'm a Canon shooter. I didn't hear who asked me. Oh, there you are. I knew it came from over there. Yeah, I'm a Canon shooter. I'll tell you what, though. I have a show, which I forgot to promote, called the Understand Photography Show. And it's live at 4 o'clock on Fridays on our Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/understandphotography. So it's live at 4 on Fridays, and then we put it on YouTube, and it's also a podcast, if you like, because I'm like a podcast fanatic now that I know how to do it. My son had to show me. Anyway, the guy who was my guest on Fridays, he is he's very famous. I was really lucky to get him. But he is a Sony guy, and he's about the third Sony guy I've had on that's making me want to check out the Sony stuff, because...
I like mine.
Do you?
Yeah.
Which one do you have?
A6000.
Okay.
Remember when they cleaned it, they said how dirty it was?
I got somebody called me or emailed me today, they've got ants inside their camera.
Yeah, that's the other thing that, Peggy, I don't think you even mentioned that you have a service that comes into Naples.
Oh, I know. See, I forgot all about my commercials. Yeah, Southern Photo Technical Service is the camera repair company in Miami. They're authorized, to do warranty work for Nikon, Canon, Sony, all the big Fuji, all the big names. They've been in business for, I don't even know how long, 30 years or something. Very, very reputable company. But they come to Naples 2 or 3 times a year. They come to my studio. They'll clean your camera. They'll check, if you got something wrong with it, you can bring it, and he'll kind of give you an overview right there, maybe an estimate right there if he can. So that's February 24th. He'll be here. Okay, and that's, again, everything's understandphotography.com. And then if you, I was going to say if you found me on Facebook, I put it on the Facebook group page, but Facebook never shows anybody your posts anymore unless you pay them.
You have cards on the back table.
I've got
right?
cards on the back table. And if you didn't sign up for my mailing list, we put a newsletter out just once a month. I'm not going to send tons of stuff. Once a month I put a newsletter out. It has the schedule of what we've got coming up. Usually has some photo tips in there, stuff like that. Actually, specials from Hunt's Photo and Video. They have specials that they send to camera clubs, and so we're considered one of their preferred vendors that we can pass on our specials, their specials. So see my panorama. You can see by the marching ants where they were. Okay, so what do you want to do next? Do you want to save it, or do you want to continue editing? Well, I'm going to just pull it into Expert so you can see what happened. So even though it guided us, this is how we did panoramas in the olden days. We took each picture and we slowly erased. We lined them up ourselves, and then we erased the parts. These are all erased parts of the pictures to come up into that one picture. So you've got that piece of picture, and then we add.
So does anybody do this the long way anymore?
No. Why would you?
So the results are that good?
They're better than your eye can do, because the computer does it. You know what I mean? If you think about it. All right, I'm just going to Command D to get rid of those. Oops, I don't like to. If you hit select and deselect, all those marching ants will go away. Here now I'm in Expert. All right. Now this is where I'm most comfortable, because I do. This is more similar to Photoshop. So I'm just going to give you. How much time do I have? None. I'm going to go 5 minutes. I just want to show you. I'm going to give you this over. You still have these options up here. you have way more options over here. Anytime you choose something in this tool palette, let's say I'm going to choose this sponge, immediately you're going to get a second menu down here. So you see how the menu changed? I click on the eye, I'm going to get a different menu. I click on the shape tool, I get a different menu. Okay, so in Photoshop, you do get a different menu, but it's at the top, it's really small, and everybody forgets about it. And here it's kind of in your face, which I really like. So under these tools, you have extra tools. So this little hand is the burn tool. You can change the size of it. I'm gonna make it big, and the burn tool just darkens. So I'm just gonna darken this a little bit. And then I'm going to go to the sponge tool right in here, and I'm going to go to saturate. I'm going fast now. I'm going to make this real big again. And I want a blue sky. And that water was this blue, I swear. You've been there, right? Amalfi Coast? That was my first trip, and that water is blue. It's royal blue, though, not like Caribbean blue. It's so different. It's so cool. So already I'm improving the picture, right? Put a little more saturation. You can do all kinds of things in here. But you see what's not in here is that level, which I can't remember how to do it now in Photoshop, how to straighten the thing. So guess what? I can just go back here, and I can go to the level, because look how crooked my horizon is. Now I don't have a full horizon, so I'm just going to kind of guess, and it's going to straighten it out. It's going to autofill the edges because I've got that checked. Come on, we're in a hurry here.
There it is.
All right, one more thing I'm going to show you. I'm going to go over here. Again, I'm going to get these palettes over here. I'm going to go back to Expert, though, which is a step I forgot. But I've got the palettes down here. The Layers palette is a place where I live in Photoshop. And I can't go through too much. Everything's backwards for Photoshop, so you have to... But one of the things is, in here, in all three of them, you can crop. So if you hit the crop tool over here, I'm going to put no restriction, but you could, like if you want an 8x10, but I'm going to put no restriction. As an artist, you can crop however the heck you want to, right? I'm actually going to go to the zoom tool in the secondary menu, zoom out a little so I can see the whole thing. Now I'm going to go to the crop tool. And I'm just going to pull it. I'm just going to crop some of this stuff out because it doesn't add to the picture in my opinion. And hit enter or the check mark. Oops. I cropped a little too much. Do you see that on the side? So one of the things that's so cool about Photoshop and Elements, let me get back to the zoom tool. I don't like to show there's shortcuts for all this stuff, but I don't like to show shortcuts when I'm teaching because then people can't remember what you did. These selection tools, I can just select like this guy right here and the hat. Go to Edit, Fill Selection, and this Content Aware, it senses what's around it, and it tried to give me, see how it wasn't perfect, but it gave me the fence, and it did not too bad. So I do this all the time, like as a first run, and then I'll fix it later. But let's see if I can get rid of all these people. Fill Selection, Content Aware. See, so my fence is a little messed up. But isn't this cool? When this came out, it was much worse. It works much better.
I have to do that with some of my pictures of my previous wives.
Anyway, you could fix it even better than that too, but that is just one of the best things about Photoshop, in my opinion, is being able to do that. Okay, so just to recap, you've got the organizer, where you can tag and keep your pictures. You don't have to use the organizer, again, until I think it was Elements 14. I told people not to use it. I said it's too confusing, you're just going to get frustrated. So you can just pull your pictures in, you can just use the editor without using the organizer and just pull your pictures in from your folders if you want. You know, pull them in through here this way, just like the old-fashioned way, because that works too. So remember, you've got quick, which kind of does things for you. Guided, come on. Guided, which kind of walks you through things. And then expert, which is when you kind of, I mean, this is where I mostly stay because I know how to do all this stuff now. But for that background thing, that's new. I'm going to be doing that for the background, changing the backgrounds out from now on.
I have a question.
Okay.
What version is this?
This is 18, it just came out. That's why I just downloaded it. That's why I was struggling a little bit.
Do you know if it's compatible with High Sierra and Apple?
Probably.
It just came out, so I'm sure it is. I mean, they wouldn't, right? They wouldn't put out something that wasn't compatible, would they? Actually, Photoshop was made for Mac.
I understand, it's just, there's been a lot on the internet, people were saying it wasn't compatible, so I was just wondering if it was.
Yeah, for some reason I think it is, because I believe there's an app, you can go get the app now from the App Store for Photoshop Elements 18. It's interesting, can you still purchase Photoshop
Yes.
18 through
Elements, you can purchase Elements.
Elements?
You cannot purchase Photoshop.
I mean Elements.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I got mine from-
$99.99 on Amazon.
I got mine from Amazon.
What was that comment?
$99.99 on Amazon.
How much?
$99.99.
Okay.
Now, if you already have an Adobe product though, go to Adobe. I just realized I didn't get mine on Amazon because I went, oh, I don't like to pay full price. I got a thing against it. So I went to the Adobe and they said, oh, if I owned any Adobe product, I got $20 off. $20 is $20.
Now, how many Photoshop Elements people do we have in the room?
Okay.
Okay.
Here's the deal, George. It says get 30% off Photoshop Elements ends February 18th, $69.99. You go to the Adobe site.
Ouch.
I
The
mean,
Adobe
I just
site?
paid $80.
So the test is
Maybe you're right. I got questions in the back.
She's first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you can show it now, but is there a way to find out how to do transparent layers so that you can actually see through?
The layers? Yeah. Remember the last thing I said was I live in the layers palette?
Yeah,
If you're already using it,
Yeah.
there's an opacity slider.
and then you can see through to the next layer?
Yep. It's right there at the top, opacity.
Okay, and also, when you go to change the size of a photo, it'll automatically put in, say, 72 pixels, and that I know that's not enough.
Okay.
Can you manually put in the amount of pixels you want, and it will?
You can, if you want to add, it will add pixels, but Photoshop doesn't do it very well. The only program I know, if you ever want, like I have one customer, she's like, oh, this is a terrible low-resolution picture. Is there anything you can do to save it? Well, I have a program, the company is called On1 Software, O-N and then number 1.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But they have something, well, now I think you have to buy the whole suite. I'm not sure.
But you can.
But it's called Perfect Resize, and they will actually add pixels in a smart way and make your pictures better. It's
So
really
you
cool.
really can add pixels to
They
a picture?
can. They're the only company I've ever seen who can do it well.
Bob, is Bob here?
That's good, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you add pixels ever?
a little bit in Photoshop, but otherwise I use the same thing, you know,
On one?
the perfect resize.
It's really it's a good software.
Why would you add pixels?
If you have a low res, like say you took an iPhone picture and you want to blow it up and make it into a big,
Okay.
and you just don't have enough pixels, iPhone's good, but it's not that good.
And it comes out well from this on one?
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, you know, but
Another advantage of using RAW is you never use your picture, the pixel. if you use JPEG, you can accidentally reduce the size, and you don't have your original.
And I
So,
have another question.
You were talking about jumping around to different products. How long is the minimum time for renting?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question, but I did forget to tell you there is a 30-day free trial on all their products, except this one. But you can get Lightroom for 30 days, Photoshop for 30 days for free.
But what do those both cost on annual rental?
They're $10 a month for Photoshop and Lightroom,
$10 now?
for both. So what's that, 120 a year?
Yeah, okay. Because I was just wondering if you could do it when you needed it.
Oh, I bet they have something in place. I bet they have something in place to stop you, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, just go in with a different name and do a trial.
Well, I'm opposed to the subscriptions.
That's the way everything's going. You know what, I was too, because with the Microsoft Word was the one I didn't want to do, but keep doing it.
All right, thank you very much.